Hello, welcome to the second session. What we'll be covering today is going to be working on Wun Hap Kuen Do intermediate advanced theories and principles. Let me say that what you saw on the first tape and on the second tape, these are still considered to be basics, even if we consider it or call it intermediate or advanced, because we're not pulling in everything. It's just going to be spots of several things, several types of principles, several types of theories. We're going to be covering today how to develop a little bit more snap. Now, there's a lot of people that come up to me and ask, Sifu, well, how do I develop speed? And it's really hard to explain, because when you try to tell someone, well, speed, you have to learn this and learn that and so forth, they just don't quite understand, because there are some places that you can go and say, yeah, you want to develop speed, go to the wall over here, punch 2,000 times for 20 years, and at the end of 20 years you get fast. But people need to understand that there are 4 components that build up speed, or let's say that basically there's 3 different types of speeds. There's what we call the explosion or initial speed, timing speed, and mile per hour speed. Let me explain that to you, okay? Mile per hour speed is like everybody has mile per hour speed. A Volkswagen has mile per hour speed versus a Porsche has a mile per hour speed. That's the timing, a mile per hour speed. Then you have the timing type of speed. It's like when you're sparring with somebody, you wait for his mistakes. You come in on him. Whatever mistakes or whatever thing you can read from him, you hit him. The other type of speed, which is a little bit more dangerous, is what we call the initial or explosive speed. This comes from understanding theories of like relaxation versus tension. And this is the area we're going to be working with. I like to work a lot of my techniques with snaps, and the reason why I like to work with snaps is because it's a lot more harder to catch versus anything that comes in on a thrust, okay? All right, Earl, we'll take a short demonstration for you to understand this. When we begin to work with the snaps, the body must be relaxed. The idea behind this is 100 miles an hour going out, pull it back 150 miles an hour, producing shock snap. Now, it may not necessarily drop the man, but it's a real good, fast, stunning technique or jabbing technique. Okay, there's some people that can throw a real fast snap and completely put the guy down. Some of them might have to snap and then follow up with a good thrust, a good cut. Okay, so in working the snaps, the best way to work the snap is actually not. I'm going to incorporate some of the theories and principles on this in here. Is not to telegraph. Okay. One of the ways we want to do this in here is, Earl, turn the other way, okay, is working from this type of stance right now. And our objective on this in here to develop the snap is going to be working other principles, how not to telegraph, how to read my opponent. If he makes any type of move, I'm going to hit him, okay? We're going to use the shoulder at this particular time, or the biceps, in place of going for the head. Otherwise, my target would actually be into the head. Now, this is just a drill. It's a type of drill that you should work with because it will enhance your speed and explosion. In working this exercise, what you want to do is make sure that you're not doing a conventional step and then hit. Step and then hit. What it has to do is that when this foot lands, this hand hits out in that position, pulling back, okay? So whatever I do, whether it's going to be on the inside of him or on the outside of him, this lands at the same time. And at the same token, when I'm doing this, I do not draw back to telegraph. I use a straight line, conserve your energy, conserve your motion, move, okay? This is a drill. We're going to take it a little bit slow so you understand this. All we're doing is working on snaps. I don't want him to leave it out. All we're going to do is just work and pull it back using these other principles of stepping in, pulling back at the same time, focusing, watching what he's doing. We may be moving around a little bit. Now, I'm going to let Earl do it first on me. Go ahead, Earl. Move. Fast. Good. Move. Good. Move. Good. Touch him. Good. Move. Okay, now I work, okay? We're going to play this, we're going to alternate, all right? First, he's going to let me touch, so we get focus in, tango. Then, move. Okay, oh, You move back. Okay. Okay. I'm going to attack. You ready? Okay. Okay. Now you alternate. I'm reading him. Me. Okay. We alternate now. Okay. Good. Mm. Good. Very good. Let's catch it on this side. Okay. You first. Okay. What this does, it helps you to develop the speed by reading. Okay, what I'm catching is this. Or come on this side here. All right, Earl, you move. Go. All right, that's what I caught. Before Earl struck, as he stepped, he did this. And then he went out. Okay? So that gave me the telegraph that, going back, go back again. This is what he said to me. Begin to move. Here I come. Because this motion right here, again, here I come. You see? So I read that. When I came in on Earl, my hand went straight. Not in this fashion here. Okay? Even if he did this, it's a clue. Even if he did that, it's a clue. I was watching his face. At several times, he did this. The jaw moved. And I picked it up. Okay? That's learning how to read him. And then when he was ready to leap, the back foot that Earl did, he went from this position, he lifted off. And that's what I caught. Okay? In other words, when I focused in on him, I wasn't only looking on his face, I targeted in right here. It's like looking at an opponent at very close range, this here. If I were to look at him straight eye to eye, I cannot see his legs. Besides, he might scare me. You know, he might have just got off his bike. You know, bugs in the teeth and all this and that, look real mean. Okay? So I'm not going to look at him in the face because psychologically he may put fear into me. What I do is I just look right here, his soul. Because when we look there, we're all the same. So I'll just look at him like this, downwards. As I look down, I picture a bullseye, circles, and I visualize and enhance my vision. So even at a close range, looking right here, I can still pick up anything that he's doing here or his legs. But if I would look at him straight into the eyes, who knows what he's got in his hands before he come up with a knife cutting me or hitting me. So what I want to do is just, even if I'm in this position right here, just focusing into his chest. Now for him, he's going to be intimidated because he's going to look at me and say, look at me in the eye. What's wrong with you? That's fine. I said, well, hey, when you look down here, okay, what he's projecting out is just that, hey, I don't want any trouble. You know, I just want out of it. But at the same token, I'm totally focused. If you play that eye-to-eye stare game, maybe it might work. Maybe your eyes are a little bit more ugly. You might be able to make it work. But if it don't, you've only got that. You don't have that to watch. And all he needs to do is look into me the eyes, and I'll just go bang, bang, bam, bam, inside. But if I got a knife, whoom, cut him. He's out. So you want to make sure that you stand in this position. Matter of fact, when you're standing in this position, it's better just stay here and take care of your family treasure. Okay? All right. So now, that is one exercise that you have to work on. We'll do it a little bit more. Okay? Go back into the other shoulder, the other side. Okay? Now let's see if Earl improves by not pulling his hand back. You attack now. Go. Still doing it, Earl. I'm coming in. Okay? Good. Much better. Good. 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 Mm-hmm. Ah, there, good. All right, go ahead. There you go. And loosen up. Go. Good. Hey, here we go. Yeah. Good. Good. Get my timing off. Ah, I got you on that. All right. This is what we're doing is we're watching the way he's moving. Another one, is what we call butt kicking, okay? So we stand in the same position here. This is what you won't see, okay? You won't see this. There's two movements. What you'll see is a slide, okay? This is an exercise that's in place of actually kicking the groin, the insteps, go up into the stomach, go into the head as you get a little bit more progressive. Okay, all you do it a couple of times with me. I'm not going to move. Focus, go. Yeah, it's good enough for you. Good. Keep your hands up. Good. Put your weight forward. Spring off. Wait. Again. Good. I'm going to move now. Good. Very good. Again. Good. Okay. Here's what's happening. Before I made this correction, Earl had his weight mostly in the back. What you want to do is you want to keep your weight in the front. You want him to have an illusion as if this leg, my back leg, is going to be ready to kick because it's up. But actually what I'm doing is like a runner. I'm actually sprinting forward, okay? It would be unwise for you if you're trying to develop and go into the groin area quickly, whether it's going to be on the street or in tournament competition, to put your weight back. Because in striking, which is especially from the front foot, he'll begin to pick up and detect that, okay? So you eliminate all that motion. You want to already stay in that position here. Now it's pretty difficult because majority of your weight is going to be 70% forward, 30% backwards. Some people will say, well, I'm going to land flat on my face. You never will. Because this leg is going to be afraid of you landing on your face, so it's going to be there, down on the ground before your face ends up there. So what we're working off is pushing off again and striking inside, okay? Whether it's low or whether it's high, it's going to move. Okay, we're going to alternate. You're going to attack first, okay? Good, reach out for it, okay? Good. Good reach. Good. Okay, just working and teaching you the extension. Working on speed and detection. Detecting the movements that he's going to be throwing out to me and intercepting it quickly. There's many ways that you can stand in front of an opponent. We're talking about something that's almost like what we call the box here within the space of a telephone booth, okay? So Earl, would you come up here, okay? We'll put you right on the line, right there, okay? I'm going to stand about here because sometimes when you're talking to someone, it's always going to be like the confrontation is going to be here when it gets from a heated position, okay? But even if I'm coming up into the heated position, or even if I see him coming up to me, walk that back there, I'm not going to be standing into this position and taking this type of stance, because that's a bad attitude. What you're doing is the guy walk up to you, you say, in his mind, he's picking up, oh wow, look at all that opening. And you, on the other hand, says, go ahead, make my day. So he'll make your day because you're too wide open, okay? So I'm not going to let him approach me into this open line here. When he comes up, say like if he walks, go back up. If he's coming up, I'm just going to say, wow. I'm just going to take this type of defensive stage, defensive cover. Because what happens is that instead of staying open, I already slip back into a stance which would make it a lot easier for him to knee me into the groin. So if I'm in this position, he decides to knee, I'm going to let him take him on the thighs. Or if I see him coming again for the knee, I'll take it on the inside. In this position, it's going to be hard for me to move, okay? I'm in a relaxed position here. I might even be playing around with my nose and mustache, or digging my ears, and just say, Jesus, man, I really don't need these kind of problems. But I'm in this position right here where I have better access to him because all of my targets are pretty much closed. My neck area, straight into the neck, you see? I'm there. The other side. Okay. I'm there, okay? It comes inside from my stomach, you see? I'm there, okay? It goes into my groin area, you see? I'm there. But at the same token, this hand is ready to strike the minute he comes in, bang, inside. So if he even decides to trap my hands up here, I'm on him, okay? I've got myself in such a cover position here that it's practical, okay? So we used to call this, when disco was really famous, 10, 15 years ago, we call it the disco position because you could always tell my students, whenever they're in a disco club, they're all walking around like that. Eh? Even at the bar, they're like this. But it's a precautionary measure because I'm leading this in here. It protects me from getting myself cut in the neck or getting hurt. You see, besides that, if a knife went across me, you know, nobody likes to get cut, you see. But preferably, if you're going to have to give up something, give it up on the inside here, on the outside, rather than here, or giving it up here, okay? So I just want to be in this position right here, just to make sure. Because if it's a secondary blow, you see, or strike to the head, I prefer to hit myself and cushion it than to have direct attack on it, you see. Now, in this position here, it gives me a chance now to read. Okay, stand straight. I'm in this position right over here. Anytime that he begins to move his hands, you see, I move, okay? Whatever you're doing, okay? Boom, okay? Anything you want, move, you see? And the first place I go for is straight for the eyes. Reason, if he can't see me, he can't hit me. Simple as that. From that point on, I'll take it any way I can. But I can move into any position. I'm already in my block stage. And that's that. This is preparing. Or if you don't like this one here because maybe, you know, you got no mustache to play around or no boogers to dig out, then you're here. Same position. You see? Or if you want to just a little bit more humble, you can stay in this position right here. And when he comes up into the show, then use your shoulders. If he's coming into here, use this. You see? So what it is you're using this movement here. That's protected. At least your family treasure protected. Your girlfriend or your wife isn't going to get angry because you're going to go home not a man. You see? You're protected. That is what you got to be able to do here. Protect that center line. This, or this. But never coming up to opponent like that. Okay? That's too awful. Some guys are doing this. Hey, what do you want? Huh? Oh, if Earl were to talk to me, he says, what do you want? I say, that, bam, bam. Yeah, that's what I want. I'm going to take him. Okay? So you don't walk up. What do you want? All right? Walk up, you say, hey, what's your problem? I got none. But at least you're in a protective position. All positions, everything can be worked from here. It gives you a better chance. You never know, because if he has a guy coming inside, say I'm catching now. Say that he's flipping up, coming up into a knife. You see, at least they're protected. You see, at least I'll be able to work with them. You never know. So always in this protective stage. Okay, to enhance the training, and this is really important, especially if you're a martial artist, that's involved with law enforcement, executive security, or bodyguard. For that matter, it could be anybody that can learn this, because if you're interested in protecting your body, then you're bodyguarding yourself. What we do now is a training that is pretty much exclusive in what we do in Wun Hop Kuen Do. This is what we call silhouette or flash training. The objective behind this in here is to teach a student how to identify persons just by the silhouette, be it a kicker, a puncher, or a grappler, okay? And a little bit of background is just that if anyone have been in a confrontation, or any of you have been in confrontation, you know, you'll find that majority of the confrontation usually happens in a low light situation. And you can never tell when you're going to be pushed to the ground and then looking up. And when you look up, all you see perhaps is only the silhouette, so you need to have the chance of knowing what that person is all about, whether he's a kicker, a puncher, a grappler, or so forth, or carrying some kind of a weapon. You have a better chance of surviving. You know, Sun Tzu said, know your enemy, know yourself. You could go through 1,000 battles without defeat. So what we do is try to study as much as you can about other styles, their strength and weakness, because it only can enhance you. Now, this is an example. When I say, and this is what I do to my students, I flash up and I bring it down. Here goes. What is it? Okay? They got to be able to tell me, well, that's looks like a wrestler. Okay, the strength is in the hands and the grappling techniques, it comes in pretty quick. And I flash another one up. I bring it right back down. He says, well, that looks like a kicker. He tells me the weakness and strength, because in his situation, he now has to very quickly analyze this and see and assess to make sure that he has the right weapons to end that confrontation, using strength against weakness. We're going to use this as like a scenario, because anything can happen. Like I said, you know, you might get pushed into the ground, and you know, you could have anyone, someone else comes up and probably just hit you. Okay, I just got myself shoved down. Now, you see a person coming into this stance here, you may only have a few seconds to assess, because the minute he gets into the shoving position or shoves you down, he'll only be in this position for a few seconds, not even that, perhaps it's a split second, he's going to be on top of you. You've got to be able to assess, what is he? Here he is. He's a wrestler, a grappler, a person that's going to come on me. That is one particular instance. Another one, Errol. Great. This guy's over here, it looks like he's going to be doing a lot of kicking, punching, okay? That's what I'm going to be assessing him in. So now I begin to, in my mind, go through weakness and strength. Give me another one. Hands up high. Good. Okay. There's a lot of people that practicing the southeastern arts, and you could be almost like Muay Thai boxing or shoot boxing in here. So it gives you a chance to recognize that this guy, once he does that in there, his hands are already getting ready to come in, punch, and kick. So you're going to have to assess this real quickly. Another one. Great. Kicker. Okay. Typical. You'll see that he's ready. His back stance is in the back. He's ready to start kicking in. But he'll only be in this instance, in this situation, or this stance for a short period, like a second or maybe less, because he's going to come in on you. Okay, last one. Oh, great. Low. I would go into, well, I hate to say it because it comes out of my own system. A lot of my own Kajukenbo people do this deep stances. So I would say in our particular style, it's typical of a Kajukenbo low fighter, low stance on this near. Right, go into the last one, move around. That's going to be pretty difficult because I may not know what the guy has. He might be one that practices maybe capoeira, or maybe a guy that does nothing at all. But if I see this type of stance, it's going to be a little bit more dangerous for me because it's very unpredictable. The type of fighter is going to be hard for me to pick is one that's not going to be predicting his movements, because basically you have four types of fighters. You have the jammers, you have the blockers, you have the runners, and elusive runners. And he's moving right now, right like an elusive runner. Don't know whether he's going to jam me, don't know whether he's going to block me, don't know whether he's going to run or be very elusive. He hasn't been on top of me, but he's giving me an idea that this guy's a mover. In this instance, you find yourself being shoved to the ground, and all of a sudden you look up and you see a barrel. Well, basically, you don't see the barrel. You see someone that's standing in there that looks like a barrel. Well, my recommendation is just don't move. I mean, don't fight back, because nobody's going to be able to block a bullet anyway. So this is one instance on how you can recognize. Now, there's many types of stances that people use. They use a isosceles, Weaver stance, FBI, and you have what the tuck, right, the combat tuck. Okay, so there's many different ways of standing. You might find one. Earl, let me just take that on the silhouette. You see, you might find a person just coming inside and just dropping low. You see, or you might find one that what Earl did, coming into that position here. The one that's going to be really dangerous is a guy that's just like this. Come on here. And you can see that because he might be just kind of like a nerdy guy or just somebody that's freaky. That's real dangerous because he's at the time right now, he just might go bang and bang and bang, but somebody's right in this position right here. All he wants to do in this instance is put you into submission. So you're a little bit more safer when somebody has a tuck on you or getting into one of those other combat stances, because it's a little bit more stationary, a little bit more stable than someone that's actually going around and weaving. It's real dangerous. So identifying the stance. Now what we've done here will just give you a few illustrations. It's not complete. There's hundreds of different type of flashcards you could be using to pick up and identify. Name the system, name the style, go to the weakness and strength. In your head, learn to assess this very fast, because in true training, you use silhouettes, bang, silhouettes for a little bit, person comes in. You got to be able to move and work fast. In the higher form of any type of martial arts, there should be no stances. I'm taking a little bit, a few minutes here to explain to you about stances. Stances to me is too stagnant, too mechanical. True, as a beginner, you learn the stances because this is like just when you're a baby, you learn how to take one step at a time. But stances can be a detriment to you for the reason that it can tell your opponent the system you come from, the style you're expressing, things like this. So I prefer that when you begin to learn stances, only take it from a beginner stage and begin to move around. Because if you were to take everything into freeze frame, you see, then it becomes stances. I might be just in this position like here, and all of a sudden I'm going to walk, you see, and stop. And if you were to catch me on a camera, then you say, well, this is a twisted horse, and then you get it into a little bit more exaggerated down. Or say that someone is just, you're just taking a real big step out over here, freeze. Uh-oh, that's a glass horse stance, you see? Or maybe you just might be doing something like that right here, and you think, oh, man, oh, that's a horse stance, okay? But you see, you don't want to get too hooked up into stances. Stances, one thing, it becomes too predictable because certain systems, certain styles begin to lock themselves into stances. And when you get into stances that are low, Earl, okay, get into a deep horse stance, 50-50. Here I see stances on 50-50. That means he is primarily a defensive fighter, not necessarily an offensive fighter, because he can't move out of that stance very fast. He's going to be defending. One thing that is what you might be aware of is this is going to be real easy to take out, because all I'm going to do is I'm going to start hitting and taking out the legs, and you lose your balance. If I were to slip my leg inside here and pull you, you're going to be overstretched. If I were to come inside here, you're going to be hurt. Or if I come down with what we call a tiger tail, coming up into this position and coming down, I'm going to take you into that pain. Okay. Now, if you were to take more like a tiger stance, take that, you see, and I read this automatically, I can see, well, okay, he's already got 70% of his weight forward. He's going to be a kicker. He's going to be one that's going to be rushing inside. He's going to be a lot of offensive movements. Categorizing him, he would be probably more of an offensive fighter, more so than a defensive fighter. Get into a cat stance. Defensive fighter. Automatically, when he walks into that knee, it predicts he's going to be waiting for me to come in on him, because it's going to be hard for him to be bouncing around on a cat stance. So I'm going to have to watch, because this is telling me that that leg is going to be his primary weapon on stopping me. So try to analyze stances, okay? Some people might go from stance to stance. They might just be bang, this way, and move around. That's a hard one. So when you begin to move around and shift yourself into many different stances, you become unpredictable, and that's a harder fighter to fight. Don't stay into one and say, okay, man, this guy's 50-50, he's a defensive fighter. Or stay into that position like this, because you know he's going to be a kicker. So eliminate yourself by being locked into that particular way. A good fighter will switch and make himself so unpredictable, hard for him to pick up on what you're doing. There are 34 different ways of doing flow drills within the One Hop Kendo system. Here we're just going to show perhaps maybe 4 or 5 of them. One of the ones that we work on to develop and enhance flow is what we call the street stages. Now this is an exercise where you begin to use everything that you've learned, your elbows, your knees, your choking techniques, your punches, various ways of attacking the person from different street stages. Now, as an example, to make it easier for you to understand is this. We're going to take it very simple, just from the punching position. As an example, if somebody were to take a punch at you into like that, and you were to do your first hit, you're going to drop, and then probably go down into that position, and probably into a crouching position, or on the stomach, or on your back. So what we've done is isolated these movements so that the student has a chance to learn repetition or flow in these 4 particular stages, because there are times that if an opponent is down in this position here, you know, we have students that kind of freak out and say, well, what do? I've never seen a guy that work in this position. You know, because on conventional, what you're going to do is you're going to do this, bang, and then you work with your techniques, and then you stand up, and then you start again, bang. But see, the body is like water. If I hit him, Earl, you see, throw your punch, you see. If I hit him inside, he's going to flow. You see, when I come inside, bang, he's going to down. See, and I work on him. So he's down and going into 4 different stages. I have to be able to learn how to work the body as it goes into these stages. It's not going to be like, say, conventional style and just stay stiff inside right here. I go bam, bang, boom, 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 bam, inside, and he's still there, and by the time I'm coming up and get ready, this doesn't happen out in the street unless I'm fighting a statue, okay? The human body, when I go down and I go inside, I go, bing, he's going to respond to that. When I come inside, boom, he's going to respond to that. When I go, boom, he's going to respond to that. So I have to be able to work on the stages as I work. Now he's in that position right here. How do I work him inside, bang? I got to be able to work in all individual stages. So the 4 stages that we work on is, Earl, you got it there? Good. You see what happens is because of pain, he responds, okay? Let's go into the first one, okay? Straight. We call this stage 1, okay? 2. You find maybe sometimes you'll have a boxer here. You have to work how to come in on him. 3. We're just isolating. How do I work when he goes down? 4. Yes. Now 4 can be this way, could be flat, could be on his back. Okay? Okay, come back up. I'm going to have Pierre come up. Okay? We're going to isolate the drill just to give you an idea what we're doing. All right? We're just going to work on phase 1 or the stage 1, which is going to be just out and lock. No hands, only legs. Okay? Let's try that. Only the legs. Taking it slow. Move around. Good. Stay up there, Earl. You're still up in that phase straight. Keep your hands straight out. Straight out. Good. Okay. Now go down into 2. Okay? Do the same thing. We make sure that you come back 360 degrees, 60 degrees, exactly from when you started. Okay, down into 3. Go. It makes Pierre think a little bit. Don't apologize. You don't have time to apologize out on the street. Okay? Keep on moving around. Okay, there's a blank that went here. Pierre started to think, well, what do I do? Now, as an example, if I see a person up into this position right over here, you know, instead of using only the kicks too, you know, you're in a position that now you begin to use the knees. And there's many different ways to use the knees, okay? Especially coming up in this position right here. Here's another one that you use when I'm in this close position, what we call down an axe knee, okay? So it doesn't matter where. I can come inside, bing, into that position here, or I can begin to use it coming up inside and then coming down and forcing them down. All right, so like a glancing blow is going to be cutting, okay? Come up again. Okay. Phase 4, down. Good. Use your legs. Go ahead, move. Okay, that was just using the legs alone. Now, while Earl is down in this position here, you may find yourself in a position here, and you need to come inside. Now, when you practice the stages and you go through your repetition working on, always retreat back in this position here. Because if he's pulling out any type of weapon, whether it's going to be a gun or knife, it's going to be harder for him to focus and shoot, and it makes it a lot easier for me to come inside and take him. But if I end up in this position here, and he pulls a weapon out, he can use his leg to stop me from actually going at him. So this, you never want to do this. And the reason why I personally don't like this, I had a cousin, I lost a cousin this way. He's a pretty good martial artist. He took his partner down, his opponent down, and he went back in. The guy stopped him, pulled out a pistol, and shot him 3 times in the heart. You don't want to come in that way. If you're going to come in, you're going to come inside from this position here, so his vision is going to be impaired because looking up. So that's the way that you want to come inside, from this part. Or this would be preferably the best place instead of from right here. This would be the worst place, also the worst place. You might have a chance coming in from here. So whenever you're working with your repetition, kicking, punching, retreating inside, retreat out from here, or right out from that angle. This blind spot, okay? All right, Earl, come up. Pierre, come in. We'll do it now where Earl is going to be isolating the technique. He's going to be doing the same punching technique. I'm going to be calling it out. You're going to be doing only strictly with the hands. Okay?
Open
So,
hand, close hand.
don't matter. Open hand, closed hand, it's your preference. Really. Just hands. Stay up there, Pierre. You're still in phase one. Good. Stay there. Okay. One thing in practicing this exercise is that you don't want to be doing this. Right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. You don't want to do right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. What if you can, if you're coming inside, bang, bang, boom, making it work where one hand will be coming against many different targets. If I have an opportunity to hit with a strike, I'm going to hit this, but it's going to have a secondary effect coming across here. You see? As I come down, I might hit this and bang, and as it opens up, that moves in. So I don't waste any movements on my techniques. And if I punch out and glance out here, when I come back, I'm pulling in. So I'm leading up, okay? So my strikes, whether it's going forward or backwards, has got to be with the maximum amount of movement. I might come up into this position right here, and I go, wham! But as I come in, bing, bing, bing. You see, just using the hands alone. And being that my hands is in this position, I'll break inside. Or I'll come down, I'll snap out, and I'll cut. But you see, my techniques have switched. I have not done right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. I'm sometimes in a position where this hand might be able to throw several techniques inside. Cutting, okay? So you've seen this, okay? Now, what Earl will do is work from position 2, down this. The reason why you want to do this is because sometimes, box with me, sometimes as you're boxing, you find a guy doing this. And if he's down in that position where he's bobbing, you see, you have the opportunity to use what we call diagonal punching, coming inside, up and low, hooking it down, bam, inside, bam, okay? Totally working in this stage right here. Use your hands. Pick up the pace, stay in phase 2. Good, go, move. Hands, move a little bit faster. Good. Around them. Look around. Good. Good, okay? Take it down, one down. Good, let's see how you work on there. Now his mind has got to think. There's different techniques that's going to come into play, because what's happening is a lot of the vital areas now is protected here. But realize that the spine is very exposed, the kidneys is exposed, the ribs are exposed, back of the head is exposed, the tailbone is exposed. There's a lot of things that you can do. And if the legs were to come into play, then naturally you'd break that, okay? Or sweeping that out. But right now, for the sake of just the hands, that's all you're going to do is work the repetition as he's down in this position. Go, 360. Pick up the pace now. Good, good snap. Good. Okay, up into the front. Good, flat on your back, or choose your position. It doesn't matter. If you get hurt, how would you fall? Good, that's the way he fell. Go. Okay, you notice that, stay back. Stay in the position where you're at. Good. He's in a good blind position here. Okay, so now that he's covering very well on this knee. Doesn't matter whether he goes into a deep stance right now, or into a tiger stance, or even into a catch stance, as long as the individual person is able to move in fast, come inside and strike quickly. All right, I want you to do a small turn towards him, and I want you to move in on him. Okay? Turn. Stop him before he turns. Okay? So he's just using an example. The type of kick that he done was what we call a shadowless kick. Theoretically, the Chinese would say the shadowless kick because it comes in so fast it casts no shadow. But the objective, well, I'll get into that a little bit more deeper when we get back into the kicking. But right now, just as you can see how he had worked totally with his hands. Pierre took it totally with his legs. Okay, I'm going to do this in here now, and I'm going to take it a little bit more slower. You can come up now. You don't have to stay there. Okay. All right. let's come out from this way, Earl, okay? Now, when we begin to work with these stages here, it does not necessarily mean that the person is just going to come out from the traditional straight punch. That is only for training purposes, because he could come inside with a roundhouse punch inside, and I'm just going to work it inside into that position. Or he could work it inside coming with a front thrust kick, you see, bang, and I'm going to work in the different stages, okay? For drilling purposes, you see, we're just going to use the basic straight punch. You know, it could be where he has a stick. It could be where he has a knife. These are all drilling. I just want you to imagine, say that he has a knife, or it might be a gun. I'm going to be drilling with it. I'm going to be drilling with it, see, okay? But the objective when you begin to work with any type of weapon is to make sure that the weapon is not there. You know, it's like plucking the tooth out of a snake. If the snake does not have a tooth, it's not going to be biting you. It's going to be incapable of hurting you. So weapon first, okay? There's a lot of systems that if there's a weapon, they go ahead and hit this and bang and do that, and the weapon is still there. The weapon, anytime that the weapon is coming inside, whether it be a pistol at close range, or be a club, or be it a knife, that's going to take off. You take that weapon out, and you hit, and you do anything you can to get that first. Don't worry about anything else, because that's not going to hurt you. This is the one that's going to hurt you. Bang, take it out, bang, and then begin to work. Now, when you begin to work on the stages right here, I'm going to call it out so you understand the way it's going to be moving. As I say, this is only one of 34 different ways to develop flow drills, okay? Stages, that's what we call it, street stages. So, come in. Now I'm going to be using everything that I come into mind. Bang, legs, in. Stay up there. I didn't call you yet. Two. I work inside with back, boom, 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 boom. Three. See? I'm working all the stages I can. Boom, 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 back, boom. Four. Down stage. Now it teaches me how to work with my knees instead of this position here where I'm too wide open. I begin to start working the knees. Inside. Tight. Headlocks. Break. Up. Stomp. Stomp. Boot. Inside. Inside. Whoop. Bam. Inside. Tight. I'm keeping everything I can tight. I don't want him to fight back. This is one way of developing. Inside. Bam. Inside. Inside. Ear grab. Snap. Position wise. Retreating back. Slow turn. Earl, slow turn towards me. Back in and out again. Okay, another one of the 34 different ways to build up your speed or your flow is what we have, the groundwork. Now this particular type of groundwork will be working where one person is going to be trying to attack a person who's already down in that position. And we'll go where we're going to have two people down on the ground working. Working a lot of kicks, a lot of spinning on the stomach and rolling around, crab walking, and if in a real tight situation, trying to use some of the hand techniques. Okay? Here, Steve. Okay, Steve, we'll put you down on the ground. Okay? We say down on the ground on this one here because it's like an example coming up. You see he's there, and maybe he got tripped and he's down on the ground. He's in that position right now where he don't have a chance to come up, and he's going to be on him, really sticking on him. So we will take it from this situation where he's down here. Okay, try to stay on the mat. Okay, go. Okay, go. Now getting into something which we'll cover later on, which is more on the grappling. It gives you an illustration right now on some of the basic drills working with the crab walk. And if you've seen the crab walk, this is what he was doing, basically crab walking in this position. If he would spin, he would spin out, come around, okay? So it's like moving around into a position like a turtle on his back or a crab, just so that you are always focusing on the opponent, okay? Because he might try to kick my knees in, and when he kicks inside, I'll come in and just bang, boom. You see, I'm working in this position here. You're in a better position anyway, because if he's trying to throw a side kick into me here, I'm up into the groin. If he's coming down when he's landing, kicking and landing, then I'll sweep out, coming down and down and down in. Okay, so it works as you begin to work as your crab walk. It looks kind of difficult? Not really. Put yourself on your back. Matter of fact, it's a good idea to practice a lot of this type of techniques. You spend half your life on your back. Another one of the 34 types of drills, this is what we call 6 counts. 6 counts is like a taker and feeder. One's going to be feeding, the other's going to be taking, and then begin to switch. You're counting off. Each one, the techniques that you're going to be doing is more free flow. It's going to be more random. He won't know what I'm doing. I don't know what he's going to be doing. But the only thing we know is that we prepare our minds to intercept the technique. And generally what we do, the reason why we call it the 6 count is because on the 6th technique that he's doing, I'm going to try to push my attitude or anticipate where his technique is going to go and try to block it and begin to work. I'm going to have Pierre come up and work with me on this, and we're going to take it really slowly, okay? This, when you begin to work with the 6 counts, everything comes into play, okay? It don't mean that you're just going to be working with your elbows or your punches and your kicks. Your head is going to be using into here. You're going to come inside and you're using the snap of the knees and just completely flow. Example, we're going to do this a little bit slow first, okay? You want to punch first, okay? Here's how it goes. Go ahead, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Stop. Woo! I needed that break. Okay, but what it's telling you is this, okay? What it's actually telling you is that it gets pretty intense. Your movement keeps on going. There's no, predictability except for the last 6 counts. Wherever my leg is, wherever my position is going to be, it's going to happen. He had me down here. My objective was actually trying to recover. I stayed down here showing you working techniques. Primarily, my objective would try to bring him down too, as much into the position where the odds are equal. 2 persons are down on the ground. Because as long as 2 persons are down on the ground, it's a 50-50 chance of survival. Then this would teach me techniques on how to move out and down, in. Work in several different ways of movements. Okay, what we'll be doing right now is be going into what we call fulcrum techniques, F-U-L-C-R-U-M, fulcrum. What fulcrum means is like a technique that by rising or turning will move the opponent into a position that you would want him to go into. There are many different types of fulcrum techniques or pivoting point techniques. What I'm going to be doing is very simple techniques that can be used by any system or style just on entry. It may not necessarily be going what we call entering into the opponent's critical distance line. It can work from already being inside of the opponent. In this case here, I'm going to have Pierre get into just a fighting stance, hands up, okay? What I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be using what we call the outside fulcrum. My objective is to catch him and hit him right here, and using this as a point to actually force by turning in this position. So I'll just leave this here on the leverage and begin to pull, which will force him down. Once down, I begin to go and penetrate, instead of staying in this position, all the way down into the ground. Let's just turn it a little bit more so where it's actually going. Now, if you feel the pain, then just go ahead and slap, okay? It don't take much. You're catching about an inch to an inch and a half when I'm coming down on it. And what you're doing is just that you're just grinding on the back of the triceps, the bottom part of it. Okay. He's up in that position here. Okay. It can come from like maybe just like a shove. So he's coming into shoving it. Boom. That's all I'm doing. And right from this position here, straight down. Okay. So again, it's in this position here, and just one down and one up, or grinding it in. All right, now if he's on concrete, it's definitely going to have an effect on his face, because that's exactly what he's going to be doing. He's eating some dirt, okay, when I'm down in this position. Now, if I'm trying to enter into that position, say that he's in this, almost in this position here, I can't go inside and sort of like grab, because he's going to be used to, or he's going to be aware to that. So what I have to do is use the detraction. In other words, I'm going to come out with an indirect technique first. I'm going to come up, hit there, cause him to buckle, and then down. Okay? This is the position that I want. Now, all techniques, just because it's in here, in this position here, doesn't mean that it ends there. If I wanted to work into a different position, I could roll it inside, put it in, and take it into a lock. Or if I wanted to get into this position here, I could bring it and take it into a different type of lock. Okay? But this would be just where I'm coming into an entering position here. My knee can be, if my knee ends up in that position, great. If my knee ends up here, better still, I've got position. If I come down here and I want to supplement, or just say replace my elbow, and I'll just put it right into that position right here. And that's all I need to do, is be in this position so that my hands are free. There's a lot of pain there, right? Yes. And all I'm doing is I'm rocking back and forth on it. Now this is what we call outside fulcrum, because I am actually entering his critical distance line from the outside. That's from the outside. Say if he's on the inside, turn the other way. Okay? What I'm going to do, I'm going to hit this side. I'm going to do a different angle on this. Okay? I'm going to catch from here and put my weight on it. Now, it's hard for him to resist on this, because all I'm doing is I'm dropping my entire weight on him. And this is the point. I'm turning. Hit and point. Okay? It's hard for him to stay up. He will go down. In this position here, then I get into a lock and lean. Free. That's all I'm doing in this position right here. Okay. Come up on here. Try it again. Okay. This is where he's at right here. I might have to distract. So I might have to distract this position, catch here, hit here. Anywhere right at the turning point. Then begin to just drop my whole body down. Bam. That's all. Now, when I come down, it's a slam. All right? Let's go in a little bit more. I'm slamming him down. Bang. I have to be able to watch that hand. That's the hand that can reach over. Go ahead. You see? And hurt. So if I'm down into this position right here, as soon as I get down, I want to put into another position. And even if you try to hit, I want to lean. I want to stay in this position here that I'm going to put him into. If he decides he wants to get a little bit more rough, and I'll just end up into bam, flat, taking that and breaking it. All right. Concentrating on the fulcrum means you have to hit very accurately when you come in. Let's try that again. Here. Okay. It can also work like an example. Say that he's coming inside with like a roundhouse punch, coming into this position, catching, and when I hit, I'm going to be taking him down but hitting hard. So that means I'm actually destroying that hand. But I'm not taking him out that way. I'm taking him about that way and that way. Okay? So I'm going to go, okay, bang and drop. Okay? Forcing the drop. Now, remember what I said. It's just that I always want to keep my opponent down on the ground and take him down to the ground as fast as possible. There's too many fighters that train using a lot of standing techniques. Very seldom do they get down into the lying down on the back position or what we call street ground techniques. So you want to make sure that you get them down as fast as possible into that type of dropping. Okay? Now, that was basically two different types of fulcrum techniques, using the outside, then turn the other way, using the inside. Okay, that's turning points. So remember what I said about turning points, because you can also use turning points if I use a fulcrum. This is also considered a fulcrum. I'm turning him. Anytime that I'm going to be able to turn him using something of a leverage, is going to be a fulcrum. Okay? This is another form of a fulcrum. Put your hand out here. If I'm doing it, okay, that's good. Here's another form of a fulcrum. That's against a pointing. I am using pressures to turn. Using here. Then I go down. All right? Be creative when you begin to make your move or techniques work. Let's get one more time just so that you understand this fulcrum. Stay in this position right here. Okay? Jab out. Bang. Replace. Down. All right? Or replace again. Up if you want if your intention is to break. The other side, the other way. Just take the other position. Okay, coming inside here, bam, catching. Still got to watch that one. This is the one that can come inside, come across with a cross. Okay, good. It can come inside straight into a cross. Now, the minute you have that near, you got to watch that hand, because even if it hits, you're going to have to be able to turn. So as it begins to bypass over here, turn, you drop another way. Then immediately goes into, some people would call this what they call the chicken wing, putting the pressure into that. Okay, up. Okay. Fulcrums, pivoting points. Any technique that's going to be used to get into the area where you're going to turn. There are perhaps scores and scores of different entries, different type of fulcrum techniques. And there are many different ways to enter in it. I'm not necessarily coming in on him just by grabbing. Sometimes it's going to be very difficult for me to enter into his position because he might be pretty well ready for it. So I might come inside, bang in there, or I might just come inside and just move inside, grab high. You see, just bang, grab it and down. You see? So everything would have to be a distraction. It would be very ideal, you see, if this guy would just, it doesn't matter, okay? It just was so slow that you could actually grab him. But people aren't that way. Now, here's one thing that you got to be really cautious of. Fulcrum techniques, which is considered to be a grabbing technique, will not work against jab. Okay. You see? Good. Okay? Unless he kind of hangs it out there, then I'll take him down. Only when he hangs. Other than that, you're going to have a hard time catching it. Okay, that concludes what we talk about the fulcrum techniques. We had a real fun time working on this second series or second tape. I hope that you have a very open mind about it, because the more open mind you are on this in here, it's really going to help you out. So in conclusion, I salute you.